Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fall Madness Preview Podcast presented by SimMonsters.com. I am Bert Wojcik, and we'd like to welcome you here to beautiful Essex Junction, Vermont, as we are getting ready for next week's Fall Madness 3 presented by Bass Pro Shops. And joining me here on the podcast today are Mike Disroach and Dan Agos. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good evening.
Hi.
Now, guys, we are, both of us here, or all three of us, are all Fall Madness veterans here, and Fall Madness is definitely one of the biggest events that we have all season long. And when the opportunity came up for a couple of us to get together and do it, or to promote it, it has been an absolute thrill and honor to be able to do this, to be able to associate our names with one of the biggest events there is in all Sim Monsters today. Now, for some of you who don't know how Fall Madness started out, it started out in 2005 with Mr. Dave Collar coming up with an idea for some of the biggest and baddest racing on the planet in what was then MTM2. It all started then with a group of concept with Alex Weber, Kevin Kaffberg, and Chris Kalin, as long as Mr. Collard. It started as a Fright Night race in 2004. In 2005, Alex asked Mr. Dave Collard to create a unique and challenging track, which came out to be the famous Cloverleaf track that most of you have seen in Fall Madness, which actually was Fall Madness 1 for Sim Monsters. And that started off the PPRL. Now, Fall Madness continued in MTM2 until 2010. Then in 2011, after it collapsed, it was picked up by Mr. Josh Dig Rhodes, who really created a whole new level because it was a whole new ball game, because not a lot of the guys had a chance to run with rigs or rod. So in the past few years, Dig has absolutely made this one of the biggest events of the year. Now, Dig was unfortunately not able to do this event this year, so we have picked it up. And gentlemen, this is going to be, I believe, one of the biggest events that Sim Monsters has ever seen. Dan, I want to get your take on what do you expect to see from this year's Fall Madness?
Well, I see that I kind of took a hiatus the last few years, so I really didn't have a chance to go through what Dig went through. But the way I'm seeing it this year, it seemed more like the people from the past has come back and took the reins of this. And lately on Rigs and Rods, the game itself, a lot of people that haven't played the game is actually stepping behind the scenes and helping out. So this is kind of going to be back to where it was before as one of the top events out of the lineup with All Monsters Eve and etc. on it. I'm kind of excited, and I'm kind of nervous because, you know, I'm excited about the event, but then again, I'm also a racer, so I'm kind of nervous about how personally I'm going to do good at this event. But really, I cannot explain how actually I'm excited about what this is doing, helping out and whatnot.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, it's really an honor, to have all you guys up and down the road. I want to get your take on this, too. This year we're expanding Fall Madness into 2 days. We're going to start off here with Friday night. I want to get your take on what do you think people can expect from expanding Fall Madness into 2 nights?
Well, 2 nights, it creates, the challenge of you got to be prepared the first night, get your truck dialed in, make sure you make that one great pass to make the field, because if you don't make a good pass, you're not going to be racing, because you only got one shot to get in. And I've learned that experience kind of the nervous way, wondering, boy, am I going to get in or not? Back in 2010, it was Fall Madness 5 in Monster Truck Madness 2. I believe it was the last Fall Madness run by Dave Collard. And the last one for Monster Truck Madness 2 in general. It was my first major online racing event that I've ever even qualified for. And as the big shock of the field, this rookie coming from nowhere and actually making the field, qualifying 12th, this was, I believe, the last position to make it in. And I made that one pass, and I really thought at that point in time I was guaranteed in the spot. I didn't think I was going to be 12th, the last one in. Because really, you have to work your ass off and make sure you get that perfect pass to be able to make the field. Because if you don't, you're not going to be racing.
And also, I think to say, Bert, is we're having a lot of new people going to be joining, and the way I'm going to say to these new people, the new racers, let's just say, because there's a lot of people that are introduced to this, that it's not your average event. It's not your average Joe Smo event. You have to figure out ways to race. You have to figure out to win. You have to figure out what to do. It's not going to be easy, even with the veterans. They need to figure out that you can't just pop on in and just do what you need to do. Because before you know it, there's someone going to be practicing their ass up. Can I say that? Butt off. And
this is regulated by the FCC.
And they're going to beat you. So I have to say, it's not your average event.
Well, here's my question for you guys as well. Now this is for both of you. Do you believe with the guys, like Roach brought out the point, and Dan also, you guys both brought out the point that a lot of the older guys are coming back for this event, okay? Do you believe that the newer guys have more of an advantage into this event here as, let's say, more than some of the older guys? Let's say like Dig and CK and Roach and yourself, Dan. Do you guys believe that they have a little bit more of an advantage?
Oh, I definitely believe that 100%. Because the veterans, they know the pressure that comes into this. The new guys, this is a whole new ball game for them. They're used to having, small arena events or your big stadiums, just running for the heck of it. But this ain't just fun and games. This is big time. This is one of the Super Bowls of monster truck racing here. We're talking about Fall Madness. Easily, probably the biggest event of the year, next to Christmas Mayhem, formerly All Monsters Eve now.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you just can't take lightly about. And your question about how the younger people may have an advantage over Dig and all them, I believe Dig's last event was driving my truck at RIL. And I don't know how long ago, in Minneapolis. Maybe. I don't know if that's his last time and he raced raced in a series, but it's been a while for him. I mean, Dave I don't even think ever touched ROR except for his personal private time, probably. And a lot of guys are going to be, it's weird because the veterans of MTM2 that normally would dominate is going to be kind of flip the card. They're going to be new. They're going to be, hey, I'm going to get the hang of this. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of racers now that are racing with a controller and a steering wheel. Some of them, there are some that race with the steering wheel. Actually, I think all the elite people race with the steering wheel in MTM2, I believe. I could be wrong. But now there's a lot of drivers now racing with controllers, and they can match up with the people with the steering wheel. I'm one of them, and I have beaten with people with the steering wheels, some of the top people with steering wheels. So, with the younger people, though, they're used to the graphics of the game. They're used to the handling of the truck. Most of them kind of lean towards the CRD than anything else. And some of them, can, they know a lot more about this game than other people believe, and they take that to their advantage.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, they have a lot of experience in this game, and it's amazing to see. I'm actually really interested to see what the gap is going to be, because we're also going to have, a big test and see what the gap is, as we're going to get into our discussion about Quaker State Friday Night Motor Madness on Friday, November 22nd, which will be the opening night for Fall Madness. Now, beginning on that night, we will announce the 24 truck field that made the field. Now, we're also going to have a very special event that night. It's a one-of-a-kind event. It'll be going to be called the Tracker Boats King of the Hill Qualifying. The way King of the Hill Qualifying is going to work, we're going to take the top 12 overall qualifiers. We're going to bracket them up, and we're going to race them. The winner of the event will get the pole for Fall Madness 3 presented by Bass Pro Shops. Second place will be qualified second. Then the fastest loser from the semifinals will be third, and then the second fastest loser will be fourth, and so on, and all the way down the bracket until we get down to 12 trucks. Now, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. We'll start with Roach here. Roach, what do you think King of the Hill qualifying will do for Fall Madness?
Well, it brings a new game of qualifying in the case that before you qualify in and you sit and wait and see if that one pass was able to get you enough in the top 12. Now, not only getting in the top 12 is nervous enough, now you got to see if you are one of the best to even beat the top 12. You're basically getting your first shot at racing by just even qualifying in the top 12, because even if you're the top qualifier in qualifying, you got a whole nother, 3 rounds of brackets to go through to even be able to be the top qualifier. You could qualify first and go out first round as someone who qualified 12th. It's a 2-part qualifying that really hasn't been experimented before, and I'm pretty excited to see it.
Dan, what do you have to say about King of the Hill, as it's bringing a whole new experience to Riggers of Rod?
It's going to be interesting in a way that may throw a curve to the particular racer, and I believe it's going to be fun. I mean, it's just let's just say the appetizer for the main meal that we'll have to deal with on Saturday.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see what is going to transpire out of King of the Hill qualifying. It's definitely an idea. There's a lot of it almost came from the dirt track idea where you have to go through your heats and then get in to the actual field in that. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how people are going to attack. Are they going to go full out on this? And Dan, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think they're going to attack the track hard? Or do you think they're going to take it a little bit easier, knowing that they're locked in the field for Saturday night?
Well, it's with this field and the drivers and whatnot in this qualifying. How about, did you explain about the qualifying, how it sets up? May I ask?
The way qualifying is going to set up is, you mean for King of the Hill, right? The way it's going to work. Okay. I did say that it's going to be the winner's going to get the pole. Second, or the loser of the finals is going to get second. The fastest loser from the semifinals will get third. The second fastest loser from the semifinals will get fourth. And then technically the second fastest loser from this second round, because with it being 12 trucks, we're going to have a fast loser going into the semifinals. He will get fifth, and then on the way down the line. So, it's definitely going to be a different strategy. And I really hope to see everyone run their trucks hard for this. Not just because, they're just locked in the event now, or they're trying to go for pole. I want to see them, get the fans on their feet, because they're trying hard to get in. Because the harder you push your truck, the better chance you're going to have to move up the bracket, and the easier round one you're going to have to go, and the easier path you have to go through to get to the championship round in Fall Madness. Because remember, with the 24 truck field, we're going to have a first round bye, so it's going to be definitely interesting. All right, folks. So with that, we're going to take our first commercial break of the night. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the MTM2 reunion race. We're also going to go talk to Josh Dig Rhodes about his return to Sim Monsters, and a lot more coming up. So folks, stay tuned. Get ready for Fall Madness. You're listening to Fall Madness Podcast presented by SimMonsters.com.
Remember when Christmas was magical? When the mailman delivered to the North Pole, and we all had a front row, shoulder-top seat at the parade. Let's get back there. Santa's Wonderland at Bass Pro Shops has what we've all been missing. With the arcades, slot car track, crafts, even a picture with Santa. And it's all free. That's right, free. Time passes. Hold on to Christmas.
To Quaker State users, 100,000 miles is just the beginning. If those big old numbers weren't always climbing, you'd wear them as a badge of honor. Introducing Quaker State Defy Motor Oil. It helps your engine last longer because it's proven to stop up to 98% of future engine wear from the day you put it in. Defy time with Quaker State Defy.
All right, if you're thinking about getting a new truck, you're probably thinking about fuel economy. Well, you're going to want some torque to go with it, because unless you're using your truck to deliver pizzas, you ain't getting anything done without it. Torque is power. It pulls trailers, hauls dirt, drags boulders. Torque is what gets the cap off your beer. And only the Ford F-150 with EcoBoost has the best combination of torque and fuel economy. Think about that. This is the 2013 Ford F-150.
Save on your next oil change with a 5-plus quart jug of Castrol GTX conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $19.99. Guard against premature engine failure and sludge with the Castrol Oil Change Special, only $19.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fall Madness Preview Show presented by SimMonsters.com. I am Burt Wojcik. Along with me is Mike Disroach, Dan Agosh, and ladies and gentlemen, joining us in the broadcast right now is one of the legends of both NTM2 and one of the founders of Riggs and Rod, Mr. Josh Dig Rose. Dig, welcome.
Why, thank you there, Mr. Burt Wojcik. How is everybody doing tonight?
Great.
We're doing fantastic, sir. Now, Dig, you are one of the pioneers of, not only MTM2, but also Riggs and Rod. What's it mean to you? I mean, you could compete in almost every Fall Madness there has been. What's it mean to you in so many years that you've done this event? What does Fall Madness mean to you?
Well, I was actually the one a couple of years ago that coined the phrase that Fall Madness was the Daytona 500 of the Sim Monsters world. I mean, it was one of the events that I was very proud to compete in, even though I never won one, never even really came close to winning a freestyle in one. Did get to go last and freestyle quite a bit, but that was back in the MTM2 days. But nowadays, with all of these innovations that have come along and rigs of rods, it's just gotten way more competitive. You actually have to drive that truck twice as hard as you used to back in the MTM2 days to be competitive in this event. And I think it's brought out a lot more competition in a lot of people. You look at last year, I believe, Mark Collinari dominated the whole thing. The year before that, it was anybody's game.
Yeah, that's a name I think you're going to hear a lot of this year. It's going to be Mark Collinari. But there's also another man that has been your partner throughout, many of the events here, and that is Chris Galen. Chris is coming back here. You two have teamed up for many, many events in MTM2. What do you expect from some of the old-time guys, including Chris, to compete in this event?
From some of the old-time guys, it's going to be a blast to watch everybody come back out there. I'm especially looking forward to catching up with guys like Dave Collard and Kyle Carr. Carr was one of the guys that was really instrumental in helping bring ROR out into the public. Ran second to me in the first Riggs of Rod's Monster Jam series. I'm looking forward to just not only seeing these guys, but talking to these guys, and really just to see how their skills compare to, say, that of a Mark Collinari or a, what's another name I'm looking for? Johan Seminario, Danny Mackey, some of those guys. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there in ROR right now, and if you're not on the top of your game, you're not going to win. That's just how it is. And, I mean, if I know a lot of these guys right now, especially me, I mean, I've been out of practice for quite a while. As Dan, I believe, said earlier, my last real event was subbing for him in an ORL race. If you're going to be one of these old-time guys to come out here and run in this event, you're going to have to practice quite a bit, and a lot of our schedules aren't going to demand that, whereas the younger generation, the guys that have come up in ROR here lately, they've got tons of practice versus us old-timers that don't have hardly any.
That's very true, and it kind of follows to my question. as a veteran of Fall Madness, Monster Truck Madness 2, or Rigs of Rods, what was it like to make the transition from Monster Truck Madness 2 to Rigs of Rods and compete with the newcomers and the veterans? What was that? What was it like?
That was an interesting time in the games as we transitioned over. ROR Monster Jam was really gaining popularity, and at the time, I'm sure everybody here can attest, MTM2 was going downhill like it had a brick attached to its foot, and it was slowly drowning. And ROR was just picking up speed, and I can remember having nights of just sitting there, and I was talking with DC Road Warrior, a lot of guys know him, Max, a lot of nights, and we were all just sitting there trying to figure out how we can just make the trucks show up separately, you know? It was one of those times where, okay, this truck's got a Chevy body. How do we paint it but make it not show up as General Tire? It was one of those things. That whole learning to get through all of that, and then getting through all of that to the Sim Monsters packs, to what I've been able to do and try and help with a lot of the setups, to what everybody else has been able to do as far as V4, V4.5, all this new stuff that's coming along. It's just been an amazing thing to sit back and watch. But to answer Roach's question, one of the most difficult things that I can remember coming from MTM2 to ROR was learning the rear steering. In MTM2, your front and rear wheels turn the same direction as your steering wheel. You hop into ROR, you've got independent rear steering, and I can remember they're fighting it a number of nights, just cursing at the computer screen, going, God dang, rear steering, I can't get it to work right. That was the hardest thing, the hardest transition right there.
You know, there has been, so many, how do I say, innovations between MTM2 and Rigs Raw. What would you have to say would be the toughest one besides rear steering that you had to compensate with? That maybe there was something a little bit different in MTM2 that was in ROR that really you didn't get the hang of right away.
Well, in MTM2, you basically had 3 types of suspension that you could choose: soft, medium, hard. In ROR, we've kind of forced everybody to run the same suspension. And the IROC of Monster Truck Racing, International Race of Champions, for those that don't know, you're running the same exact settings on your truck, but maybe those settings don't agree with you, and they do agree with somebody else. Like, for the original Rigs of Rods settings were some of the best in the world for me as a driver. Skip to 4 years down the road now, or however long it's been, Mark Collinari is the best with these current settings. And I'm sure when V4.5 comes out and those new suspension settings hit, which, trust me, I've baited them, they're awesome. When those hit, somebody else is going to jump out there, and it's not going to be that guy anymore. It's kind of like NASCAR. Every year you got a different guy that just emerges and comes out when new rules are in place, and that's what this is going to be like.
So, Dig, you have so many years underneath your, let's say, wing.
It's a pretty big one.
Your resume is really, let's just say, a lot of people, quote unquote, called you like the of virtual monster truck racing because of your list of achievements. So, with you, do you think or believe that we taking a break, like we discussed, that you took a maybe last time you actually did a race was driving my Steel Phantom for ORL at Minneapolis, I believe. Do you believe that you can get on the horse of RR and that fear that these younger people haven't had a chance to take you on, but heard stories about you, but you also heard the vibes of these younger people that they have no fear?
I've heard a lot of guys have no fear out there, and that never really bothered me. You guys know I ain't had no fear. If there's an obstacle out there, I'm going to nail it, and I'm going to nail it hard. And if I roll, I roll. If I win, I win. That's just how it is with me.
That's
But
what she said.
what's that?
That's what she said.
Aren't you hilarious? Hey, he's bringing comedy into the whole thing. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure.
Sure. What's
Hey,
going
made me
on
lose
right
my
now?
train of
Shots
thought.
fired.
Shots.
Shots fired.
That made me lose my train of thought here. But I believe Dan's question was, how are the older guys going to fare against the newer guys?
Basically, my question was, like, are you going to still have do you believe that your intimidation still lures, even with people that only heard stories about you but haven't faced you in racing? Basically, in a nutshell, are you planning on bringing back Big and kicking butt?
Honestly, these new guys are quite the drivers out there. I don't really think I ever had an intimidation factor. The only time I ever thought I had an intimidation factor was in freestyle, because I could go last and I could see everybody's runs beforehand, and I knew what this guy did and but I know hit that obstacle over there, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna nail that, and that's how I'm gonna get the win type deal. I never really thought I was that intimidating in racing, and I may have won a bunch of them when we first started out, but look at how many wins I got lately. I mean, I don't think I've won once in 2013. I don't even think I've won but maybe 7 or 8 times in 2012 when I was still going full time, you know? I mean, I don't think there's an intimidation factor. I think the biggest intimidation factor, though, is that it already gets in somebody's head, is that number one qualifier. It's the biggest intimidation factor in any race period, any race weekend. That number one qualifying guy is going to go out there and he's going to set the pace, and everybody else has to think they have to compete at that pace to beat him. And that's where you see in this type of racing where the number one qualifier ends up winning most of the time.
Well, so what you're saying with the number one qualifier also comes tremendous pressure. You're the one to beat, and if you're beat, it's going to be a big upset.
Yeah, yes, there is. That you're going to have that big upset if you're the one to beat. But you already got it into their heads that they have to beat you. They're going to drive harder than what you think you're going to have to drive. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's
so
true.
do you like that idea about the dirt track type qualifying where, let's say, number 1 versus number 16, and number 16 beats number 1 because, you know what, number 1 drove a little bit too hard and roll over in the car. You know what I mean? Like, how you feel about that type of qualifying setup?
Well, if you want the guy's honest truth, I like it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I don't know about it. You're just going to have to do it and see how it turns out. To me, I think that's a very good opportunity for somebody to Fred Schaefer the field. And if you know what Fred Schaefer the field means, go out there, qualify 8th, but then be the fastest guy out there on the course. Just watch the old Monster Wars tapes for that. Dennis Anderson and Graves, your number 1 qualifier, buddy, loses to Fred Schaefer in round 1.
Hopefully you're not one-run Anderson, too. That might not be a good way to start your weekend off, too.
Oh, shush up there, Andy Brass fan.
Well, no, it's Dan Ronnie.
All right, personal.
Now, Dig, my next question for you is this. One of the biggest hyped events right now, is Dan brought up in the last segment, is we're bringing back a lot of the old-timers here. We are really showcasing their talents on Friday night, immediately following King of the Hill qualifying with the MTM2 reunion race presented by Bill Swarsky Superfans. And Dig, what do you expect from this race? Is it going to be just a total, screw the SEC, is it going to be just a total shit show here?
Oh, hell no. No shit show. Good God, you got Dave Collard sitting out there. You get Kyle Carr. You got Chris Kalin, Mike Alston, Ryan McCauley. All the names that some of them pioneered an ROR. Oh, this Roach. Let's throw him out there, too. God, maybe we forget him. And that Dana Gosh guy and that Robert Dick. I mean, my God, they're just so competitive.
I left my name out of it.
Hey.
But I think it's going to be a really good show.
Pretty good full-time rookie. Jeez, leave me alone.
Hey, yeah, you were a full-time rookie. So was Roach, but we won't get into that. But look at it. There's a lot of guys that pioneered ROR, and there's a lot of guys that pioneered the late going in MTM2 that really gave it a surge. And the number one name that pops into my head as far as the late going or the mid to late going of MTM2 was Dave Collard. The PPRL series was a hit. Did the Evolution for that stuff. I mean, the whole PPRL phenomenon was so fun to watch and be a part of. The one name I don't see on this list that I wish was on here was Steve Payne, SPHRA. I mean, throw him in there. This could have been a really interesting mix of guys. You know, I mean, I'm looking forward to this race. I really think that we're going to have a lot of different guys come out there and really show off, and maybe somebody in the newer generation will learn something from this older generation.
You know, I really hope a lot of the guys from the MTM2 era would really come out here. And also not only attempt to get into this, everyone from the MTM2 era that comes out will get the race. But, yeah, Roach, I mean, if you can get a hold of Perry, and I mean, I'm not sure if he's got to get a truck ready in there. Like, if he can get a truck ready, get him down here. You know, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But, you know, I'm excited to see, like, you know, how many of these guys actually from the MTM2 era actually qualify into Fall Madness. You know, there's a bunch of guys here. You know, all the guys that you mentioned earlier. Between here's the list so far we have of guys that are eligible for the MTM2 reunion. It is myself, Burt Wojcik, Mike Disroach, Dan Agosh, Mark Iron, Damian Bowers, Ryan McCauley, Mike Olson, Chris Kalin, Dig himself, Dave Collard, Kyle Carr, and Nick Kozak. Dig, what name on that list really stands up to you? And Kevin Payne as well. He's one that really, hopefully he can get out here too. But what name on that list really stands out to you?
Number one, Dave Collard. That guy in MTM2 was one of the toughest competitors to beat out there, period. Whether it was racing, whether it was freestyle, even though he wasn't quite known for his freestyle, that Skull Crusher truck and racing was something that really was hard to beat. And by the way, Dave, remember I gave you that Skull Crusher truck? I built it. I just got to throw that out there. You dominated with my setup, all right? But anyway, I can remember racing Dave Collard back in the day, and just he would give me fits because he was so hard and so tough. Kyle Carr, every time he showed up, I always thought we were racing for second. If Kevin can come out there, man, I had so many throwdown battles with him and SPHRA back in the day. One of the closest races I ever had with him was an SPHRA World Finals where we virtually tied. And the only thing that won the race for me was that Kevin's truck on the replay of the race lagged forward across the finish line ahead. But then when he jumped, when you look at the replay, he flew farther. He lagged backwards behind me, so Perry gave the win to me. That was some fun racing back then. And you know, if any one of those guys comes out there, everybody on that list has a shot at winning that thing. But the two names that would jump out to me are definitely Collard and Payne.
Now, one last question for me, and we'll get to Dan. How close the racing used to be, and not just the racing, even the freestyle. In MTM2, you had you had to be very technical, very smooth with your driving, and it's the same story in Rigs of Rods. Even in freestyle, now with the realism effect that you have in Rigs of Rods compared to Monster Truck Madness 2, and the great races, the famous races that were in Monster Truck Madness 2, do you think that the racing that will happen this Friday, is it going to be even better than what it was once?
It's tough to say. Like I said, I've been out for quite a while now. I don't know really who the dominant is right now. When I hopped out, Danny Mackey and Mark Collinari were like nose to nose everywhere. So I don't really know who is the dominant driver right now out there in the Rigs of Rods world. But the biggest thing that the old guys are going to have to deal with, if they're going to be even remotely competitive to the new guys, is getting used to these new trucks. In MTM2, I don't know if you guys can attest to it, but this is the way I always looked at it. When you pitched the truck into the corner in MTM2, it was minor steering adjustments to keep that truck straight and narrow going to the cars. It almost felt like you were in a NASCAR and you're trying to keep it from getting on the wall. You had a very fine line that you had to keep the truck into. That's the same in ROR, but there are a lot more factors of pitching that truck into the corner. You got to keep the front wheels turned, or do you like to use with the rear wheels to keep the rear wheel and use the rear wheels to guide you around the corner? Or do you like to crab walk the truck? Or do you like to counter steer as you're coming out of the corner, which everybody does steering? But there's just so many different things that you can do to be fast in ROR And that's what's going to win the guy the race, is the person with the best strategy entering and exiting a corner.
Well, I guess you could throw away Kane's idea for link bars then.
What was that again?
I said I guess you could throw away Kevin Payne's idea of the floating 4-link bars.
Yeah, no, that ain't going to work anymore. Sorry.
But you know,
that truck, what was that truck he had? Fox, the 10 another Fox.
Oh, the
and
Fox.
then the tap out.
The tap out trucks. And you look back at the MTM 2 days, and this is something that was funny because it always annoyed the living hell out of me that Kevin Payne's truck's 4-link bars never made contact with the axles. And look at some of the dang stuff look at the stuff that was released in ROR that we had to drive in the early days where the 4 links didn't even come close to the axles.
But Dick, you know, you bring back like you like to see, like your list of drivers, let's say, that will be coming back, and you think that maybe in the future, you know, that these guys, the new up and coming people, will learn about how it all started, and it was just, you know, let's just go back in time on, you know, how was I mean, they talked about the transition between MTM2 and ROR.
That was a
did you know a defining moment when ROR was the prime, the future, the road to go with virtual monster truck racing?
The defining moment?
Yeah.
To me, it's the Rigs of Rod's Monster Jam World Finals when we had that beautiful replicated World Finals 9 course. To me, as soon as we got that and we got away from the concrete tracks that looked like hell and ripped your tires up every time you hit an obstacle, once we got into the realistic-looking stuff, that is when ROR went from zero to hero, in my opinion. But I'll tell you this, too. Going into Friday, a lot of these guys may want to take the opportunity to maybe private message or talk with some of these older guys and just see if they can pick up anything that they can possibly learn from them. Whether it's, hey, how do you run a series? Go ask Dave Collard. How do you get into a corner really fast? Go ask Chris Kalin, Josh, some of those guys. How do you keep that truck straight? Is it just any little question can help them out.
All right, Dick. Well, we really do appreciate all the your time here. You know, I know you're a very busy man right now. We hope to see you this week, and we cannot wait to see you back on the track on Friday night. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Dick.
Hey, no problem. Good luck to everybody, and if I see you, hey, I'll wave to you.
Hey, Dick, before you go, I have one more question for you. Before you head out, is there any information, just a little word of advice for these people that are up and coming, that, you know, just a little like encouragement on how to handle a big event that, you know, a lot of people are focusing on you?
How to handle a big event is something that, truthfully, I do differently every single time I'm involved with one. I just kind of take a deep breath and hope for the best in qualifying, and that qualifying is going to set your night. You qualify number 1, you're going to be really happy going into that event. You qualify number 12 and you're barely in, you're thinking, all right, I'm getting ready for freestyle, you know? You just got to go with the flow of it. If something happens, take it with a grain of salt and move on. Don't argue with about it. Just try and have fun. And that is the main factor that I've always preached, is I want everybody to have fun, and I want every event to be fair.
You know, that's what I've been going off of, Dig, for this entire event. You know, make sure everyone has fun. You know, but also, don't get a thick skull in it. Don't do something stupid in it. Make sure you have a ton of fun in every event that we do. And I think that's what makes Fall Madness so special, because everyone always seems to have fun at this event. All right, Dig. Well, thank you again so much for coming. When we come back, we're gonna preview tonight our Saturday night's events, and we're also gonna go have a discussion with the past 2 winners, Mr. Danny Mackey. Stay tuned. This is the Fall Madness preview. podcast presented by SimMonsters.com.
You know, a lot of people will tell you about the V8 engine and 360 horsepower, but I'm the only one with the guts to tell you about the glove box. 0.1 cubic feet of storage, 12-volt light bulb, all in beautiful injection molded thermoplastic olefin. Comfortably fits 2 turkey sandwiches, 6 ball-peen hammers, 70 packs of gums, 20 rulers. This thing goes on for inches. Starting to get the picture? Oh, yeah. This glove box I've been talking about? It comes standard. I know it's just a curtain, but I can't...
Only 2014 Dodge Durango. Anchorman 2, The Legend continues in theaters.
Introducing a car company that's never made a single car. We took the power of a 9-year-old V8 and gave it the impressive handling of Firestone's Destination tire. Now, moms agree. Milk feels like a victory lap. So whatever you drive a Firestone.
One of the things I love about Bass Pro is they have 3 great ways to shop. You can head into one of their awesome stores, visit BassPro.com, or get great gear from that catalog Johnny Morris sends out. Hi, here's your package. Bass Pro Shops, where commitment, passion, and the great outdoors all come together. Why would you shop anywhere else?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fall Madness Preview Podcast presented by SimMonsters.com. Robert Wojcik, Dan Agosh, Mike Disroach, and gentlemen, we are now going to talk about Super Saturday, which involves 2 of the big events of the weekend. We're going to start off first off with the Under Armour Challenge. Now, the Under Armour Challenge is going to be a very different event, which is going to be the first time in the 4-year history of Rigs Raw we are finally going to get to see some Penda racing there. And the way the Under Armour Challenge will work is we are going to take the top 8 overall qualifiers. They're going to come out. We're going to take the number 8 qualifier. He's going to have his choice. He's going to pick any one of the drivers that he sees out there. He picks them. He's going to pick a lane, and then they go out and race. Winner moves on to come back around to pick another driver, and that's going to keep going until we have 2 drivers left. The winner of that race there will win the Under Armour Challenge and also get to pick their spot in freestyle, which is going to be a very big incentive. Dan, I want your thoughts on this as well. What do you think the Under Armour Challenge is going to do for this event?
The Under Armour Challenge, I mean, it's just a race for freestyles. But it's also, people are probably going to think this is the easiest event out of the week, which is not. You have reaction time, you go, sometimes some people will have cat lag and whatnot, but, it's going to be difficult, even though it's Penta-style straight line. Every race in this show and event, there's something meaningful behind it.
Roach, what do you have to say about this event?
Well, I think it's interesting that you can call out any sort of competitor that you're going to be racing against and basically say, hey, I think I can beat you, and take them on, and if you talk the talk and walk the walk, you're gonna set yourself up for a good position.
Yeah, I really think it is. I think it's gonna be interesting to see where's the winner's gonna pick a spot in freestyle because, it's definitely gonna be very interesting to see how hard they're gonna run too. Because it's only for a freestyle spot, but yet it's also the debut of the Penda style racing in R1, which a lot of people have been asking for the past couple years. I know myself. I'm probably the only one that has been begging for it for the past couple years. So, it's going to be definitely interesting to see what's going to transpire from the Under Armour Challenge. That will take place on Saturday, November 23rd at 2 o'clock. Now, on to the big show itself. Ladies and gentlemen, the one that everyone has been waiting for since it was announced a couple weeks ago, Fall Madness 3 presented by Bass Pro Shops. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're going to see in this event is going to be something like no other Fall Madness. It's a brand new track. We're incorporating some brand new items that in ROR that we've been toying around with. That, we're going to see what's going to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring in right now not only the track builder, but the man that has won this event the past 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Danny Mackey. Danny, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, Bert. Thanks for having me up here.
Hey, no problem, Danny. Danny, you have won Fall Madness the past couple of years now. What does it mean to win such a prestigious event, between the MTM2 and the Rings of Rock community? What's it mean to win such a prestigious event like this?
Well, I wanted to get to participate in the MTM2 era Fall Madness event, so I could definitely imagine from what you've told me and what you have planned, it's going to be something. It was something just enormous in size, how it was ran, and getting to run just the first two on Sim Monsters was an honor in and of itself, and let alone winning the first two held on Sim Monsters and Rigs of Rods.
Now, Danny, you've been competing for how long now?
I started driving back in 2010, and I competed for the first time in 2011, I believe, for Season 2 of Sim
So
Monsters.
we'll go with competition about 2 years. And in these 2 years, you have dominated so many series, racing, freestyle. Your wins are almost uncountable now. Now, going again, now you are still considered a newcomer compared to, all these MTM2 veterans. What would it be like to go and say Dave Collard or Kevin Payne, Josh Rhodes, and, as you as the newcomer, completely and just go out and beat them first round pass? What would that feel like to you?
I'd be a little bit in shock. It's hard for me to tell what would happen because, especially with guys like Collard and Josh and like all the other guys in MTM2 that really put it on the line then, how they can handle it now. I can't doubt their skills have gotten any worse over any period of time, but it is a difference when you drive in Rigs of Rods. I've only been able to do a little bit in MTM2, nothing more than kind of fiddling around, but I'd be pretty shocked in and of itself if I was able to pull that off against veterans of the whole sport.
Now, now back to that same question. These veterans are, say, just started to say, oh, this would be an easy, but no. They're looking at you right now, and they're comparing themselves to the newcomers and seeing you as the veteran. Now, with all racking up all these wins you have recently done, and these veterans coming off and saying, where did these guys come from? Why haven't we heard of them before? Them still getting used to the game and all, and the way you have raced the game, completely dominating the sport. What does it say to have a veteran like, say, again, Josh or Colin, fear you going into a race? What does that speak for you?
Definitely shows how much you can accomplish when you come in kind of dry to something like this out of, I guess a lot of people see it from nowhere compared to like veterans like Collard or Josh. I kind of see where intimidation can come because you're coming from, it's kind of like transitioning from one completely different, well, not really completely, but completely different type of driving to what Rigs of Rods is, and it's, I guess it kind of mixes the water more than, and it really kind of shows curveballs to everyone, I think.
Next question.
Dan, you alive?
That could be me, huh? So Danny, you've been in competition for about 2 years, like we said before, but it seems like you've been doing it for a while. And you also the track builder. So you building track, do you believe that you have an edge for being the creative person of this track, or do you believe you're still like part of it, even with you basically like mature on not fiddling with the track? You get what I'm saying? Like, do you have an edge with being a track builder?
I can see where there can be edges where you can get more of an advantage where other people might not. I it's happened twice where I won. One of the times I made the track, the other time I didn't. It does kind of show that I can do it either way. I'm honestly I'm a little bit more nervous this year than any other year. Last year I was kind of confident in the track when I got to put it together. This year I didn't have really much. It wasn't my racing layout when I put this together. This was the officials' layout that they asked me to put together for them. So I honestly didn't think of this. If I were to make a track for Fall Madness, it's something definitely different. And it might play into my favor a little bit more than other people might think, since I do get most of the testing to the track to myself and the officials, but it does have its advantage.
It should be definitely interesting to see what kind of design you're going to come up with over the week here, Danny. And also, like, you've been very successful in your Mopar Magic truck as well. Now, what I like to do here, I like to go into the event a little bit here. It's going to be a 24 truck field, one of the largest Fall Madness fields ever. God hope it don't take as long as All Monsters You've won. As a lot of us remember that were around for it here. That took, almost 2 days, I think it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that was terrible. So it won't take that long, folks, hopefully.
We had to expand freestyle to another day.
Oh my God, that was absolutely god-awful. I still remember that, too. Where the hell was I going with this? Okay, yeah, that's right. And we're going to have an overall winner in that from racing as well. And then we're going to go into freestyle. We're going to do a little something different here. The freestyle order will be inverted. To have the winner of the event go first, the runner-up will go last, and like we said, the winner of the Under Armour Challenge will get to pick where he wants to go. Whether it's going to be, it's either going to be second or it's going to be last. So he can pick anywhere he wants to go. We're bringing back the grace period. And one thing we're going to do to kind of, pay tribute to the MTF2 guys as well is bring back the unrealistic freestyle. And Danny, you're going to go all out here in freestyle. You always do here. What do you expect from this unrealistic freestyle? What do you expect with it from ROR?
Well, you're throwing something at a lot of people that have never done before. You might have the veterans of MPM2 that were able to kind of lead the main rigs around. They definitely know what they're doing. The guys coming back are going to know what they're doing when it comes to driving unrealistically, in a sense. But I think it might play with the heads of some of the guys that haven't done something like this before, where you're so used to trying to do something you could do outside of this, and to tell them you can't. Well, not really someone said you can't, but you don't have to stick to those rules. Will definitely you throw a lot of people for a loop in a way, and I think other people might actually be able to use that to their advantage and see some unfamiliar faces kind of rise up the others with their not really having to follow a set of rules.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what's all going to happen with it. Roach, Danny, all three of us are kind of veterans of the unrealistic freestyle, and now what we're trying to do in this event here is something I don't think has been done in ROR. What do you guys expect? We'll start with Dan here. What do you expect from this unrealistic freestyle?
Oh, sorry.
Which Dan?
Agosh,
okay,
sorry.
yeah.
I keep forgetting. We have so many.
I think there's going to be a lot. Like, back in MTM2 days, there was a famous word, or famous saying that was really popular called side surfing. And that means you hit a ramp, and your truck basically goes on the left side or the right side, and basically goes vertical, and then gets back on its wheels. Now, today's, I guess, overused move that a lot of people do is, I guess, the intentional save, or the, I'm going to roll over, so I'm going to keep on spinning and try to get back on all four wheels to make a radical save. Donuts, basically, you start kicking the rear steer the opposite direction while doing a donut. Your truck gets on two wheels while spinning. There's so many different types of variables where you can do unrealistic freestyles because of, I just don't know how to say it, Bert, but there's a broad range when you say unrealistic freestyles that kind of a way that just gives everyone a chance to fill in the clock, let's just say.
yeah, it's definitely gonna be in road. What do you think from this unrealistic freestyle?
Well, freestyle is Monster Madness 2 is you have to be a lot more on your toes. You know, you can't just throw your truck around and keep your fingers crossed and hope it lands back on all four wheels like you did in the MTM2 days. Now, you're always on your toes, making sure that you're having a consistent flow, big air, good freestyle, wheelies, saves, you know, but to a certain extent where it doesn't just look like you're you know, just hitting the throttle and turning every which way to make sure it looks cool. You gotta have a technique. Technique. You don't spin around, stop a dozen times. You gotta make sure that you double take 4, 5, 6 times, and make sure that you gotta impress the judges. There's nothing bigger than impressing the judges with something they haven't seen or something that someone else has done that you can do better.
And don't forget to step with your right foot. Don't forget it.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget that. Don't matter. Keep that right foot down on the floor. Wow, I wasn't even trying to make a punt there, and it kind of worked out very well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we're trying to do here with Fall Madness, I'm going to start with Danny Mackey here.
All right.
We're going to try, to do a kind of a racing mindset here. Now, do you think that the drivers are going to go with that, or do you think they're going to prefer more for freestyle? That they're going to go with more of a racing mindset?
It's a hard call because definitely from what I've seen for the track and what we've been working on together to get this pulled together for the racing layout, both sides of the coin are something I don't think most people have ever seen before when it comes to just the whole event alone. The racing layout is something completely original in my opinion. I haven't seen anything like this before with the way that the turns work and even some of the added stuff that most tracks you don't see from most tracks anymore. That could definitely throw a lot of drivers for a loop. And then you got the freestyle, where there's a lot more. It's a big floor to work with, and you got a lot of stuff you can do. But at the same time, you got to pull something together that doesn't just, like Roach said, just stick it and hope it works. I'd have to kind of call it down the middle almost with the way it's gonna play out with a lot of these drivers.
And with this being more of a I would call it a freestyle A, where, people get more hyped up about freestyle than racing, where back in the olden days, it was all about racing and nothing else. Freestyle was something that, if you wanted to do it, you could. But now, you're required, and people get so amped up for it that they'll go out first hit and just completely wreck their truck and completely fall on their face. Now, and you got to get so amped up for your freestyle. Now, for you being, a past freestyle winner of any event, what kind of mindset do you have to go into your freestyle, instead of, I'm going to do this first off and fall right on my face? What kind of mindset do you have to do? You have to go in with to make sure that every move you're going to make is right.
This is for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're the one being interviewed here, Danny.
Oh, okay. No, I was just making sure. Because, coming out, especially like this, you gotta be really relaxed at the same time. You gotta be on the edge of your seat the whole time. It's a lot of give and take, especially with the floor room you have. I'm gonna have to take a lot of looking around at the track just because I could find jumps that'll work, most likely, but it's a matter of getting them to link together in a way that'll pull the whole run into a big run that'll work all together. But right now, I don't have something I could really think of right now. It's weird. It's kind of it's a new beast for myself to think of running like this, so.
Understandable.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see. Dan, do you have anything for Danny?
Yeah, hey Danny, I know if you don't bring yourself into the picture, let's start off with our projections here. You're racing, freestyle, and dark horse. And let's all answer our questions. Just predict who do you think can be. Let's exchange this. Let's switch it up. Number 1 qualifier, racing winner, freestyle winner, and a dark horse. And I actually signed a question for Danny. Let's start with Bert.
Well, I'm going to have to start off with my overall number 1 qualifier from what I've seen so far. Can't think here, Danny. Put me on the spot here. You know, I'm probably going to have to go with, for the number 1 qualifier, I'm probably going to have to go with Mark Culinary as the number 1 qualifier. You know, he's just so strong. I know. He's just being so strong. You know, but, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a weird pick. Now, as far as winner of the King of the Hill, I believe that could go to a man named Damian Bowers. He has the ability, you know, to go and knock out. But also, so did Dan Agosh. He's been knocking out Mark Culinary left and right, you know, in the past couple league events we had. So, in all honesty, I think my pick for the King of the Hill race will have to be Dan Agosh. Not just because he's in this call, but for what he has done, you know, as almost like, you know, he's been slaying the dragon, you know, Mark Culinary, and, like, you know, been reading the riot act to these boys lately. So, I really think Dan could be a big pick for that. As far as Saturday afternoon would be, let's see here.
Yep.
Let's see here. Saturday afternoon, you know what? If he can make it in the field, he's going to be a dark horse, I think. And I think Saturday afternoon, I think it could be Chris Kalin on Saturday afternoon. I really think he could make it if he makes it into the top 8. And then for Saturday night for racing, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one here. I got to go racing. I'm going to go with a dark horse here, and I think this is also going to be my dark horse as well. I'm going to have to go with Julio. Julio's been very impressive lately, so I think Julio he was really impressive in the SSRS, finale and that. So, I think he's going to be very impressive in that. Sorry, Danny, you know, but I do have you as my pick for freestyle, though. Danny Mackey will be my pick for freestyle.
All right, Roach.
Let's see. I'm not going to do all this crap Bert said, so... my top qualifier, I'm going to say, might have to go to Michael Murray. He's one of those guys
who... running, actually. I don't think he's running.
I don't care. I'm choosing him anyway.
Okay.
I believe, well, from what I've seen, he is, you know, when it comes to qualifying number 1, he is almost a sure pick. He always comes out and qualifies within top 5, no matter what event we're racing at. Now, as for the racing winner, I mean, that's an extremely tough call, because, I mean, as much as Culinary, Mackey, and all the rest of them dominate, there's also these newcomers that are coming along, you know, from nowhere who have even competed before and, you know, not shown their skill set that they really have. And I'm going to go with John Doe. He's really impressed me lately with, from even where he hasn't qualified well to making upsets in races and SSRS. He has surprised me lately, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out on top. Now, as for my freestyle winner, I would have to go with Julio Valon. He, coming off some recent freestyle wins himself, he's consistent. He doesn't make any stupid mistakes. He comes out, always scores above 20 anytime I've seen him come out. And just an all-around consistent freestyler. I don't know if any time during the SSRS season he scored below 20. Of course, I didn't really pay attention to it as much as other people have, but I would expect him to win freestyle, and that was my dark horse. No favoritism here, but I believe Danny Mackey is my dark horse. Now, no matter what event it is, again, he is a favorite coming into it. Either coming in, you know, first, second, third, or fourth in freestyle as well. You know, usually coming into the finals against someone like Culinary or another great racer, he beats them or becomes a runner-up. It's almost every single event out. He's a runner-up or a winner at something. And let's go with Dan with his picks.
All right, for my picks, the qualifier, I'm going with Johan Simon. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Johan. Just go with Johan.
Johan as the first qualifier. He always surprises me in a way that if he wants to let out the monster out of the cage, he can do that. Then again,
You mean the cardboard box?
In the little boat. This should never be aired. Anyway.
Oh God! Don't worry, it will be.
So,
email address for Dan Gosh people.
That's our little joke of the day, sponsored by Peru. Go travel there, because you probably won't be coming back. Anyway, so...
We are going to hell for this, ladies and gentlemen. Dan, just keep going. Just keep thinking to yourself if I go home.
I think the qualifier. The winner, the racing winner, I'm going to throw out here someone that's coming back. And I believe the racing winner is going to be Kyle Carr.
Oh.
Reason why was...
Good choice.
He seems like, even though he can disappear, he'll get back on, not that bike, that motorcycle, and dominate. And when he just doesn't appear, you can watch videos back and forth. He's still a threat. He's still a fear. And he races still good. And for me, I just think for the racing winner would be Kyle Carr. Freestyle, I'm going with Danny Mackey. The reason why is that I have to say he's the most technical freestyler in ROR. And if you throw someone that has this technicality, and he knows how to freestyle in the box, what do you do when you throw his ways and his skills out of the window and let him go all out? And if he can control and be technical, he could throw that and be downright crazy. So I picked Danny Mackey as the freestyle winner. My dark horse, I'm going with Chadwick Deerfoot. The reason why I'm giving with him a dark horse is that he is what I consider the two-face of ROR. The reason why I consider that is, on one side of the coin, he's a really good racer, a very good. He can keep, if all his 8 cylinders are running, he's just as good as Danny. He's just as good as Mark. He can keep up with them. But when you flip on the other side of the coin, he also can wash out, gets knocked out of the first round, puts himself in a situation where he's already beats himself into the game. And the reason why I'm throwing him as a dark horse is that whatever he comes in, but hopefully the other coin, he could do very well. Danny, what do you pick? Who's your pick in your little tight-knit group?
Well, just looking around at this sign-up list from the guys that you already have trying to get into the event, top qualifier, it's a tough call. I think I'm going to go with, I think Roach might have said this, Mark Collinari for top qualifier. Maybe it's... I haven't seen anyone else on the track before. There's not enough... from other trucks running on the track to really get a good idea of how it's going to throw other people around. Now, for the two Friday, Saturday, Saturday afternoon racing winners, even still, I don't know. There's a lot of switching around they're going to do with the track. And one thing I can definitely say, a dark horse to say, is probably going to be Kyle Carr. Just for the fact that he does come and go, but he does know how to kind of just become one with the track in a sense. But it's hard with how much more different the track is this year. If someone that can kind of just rise out of nowhere and take a win or do really good, if they can do it here. and it's really. I'm just looking at this list, and it's really hard to pull people out that really stand out because it's really not something I've seen other people do before. But I'd say for freestyle, either Johan or Julio, probably. Both of those guys did really good from what I saw this summer when it came to freestyle. And I think if either of them gets a chance, they could probably go for it.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We wish you the best of luck this entire week. I know you got a long week ahead of you between getting the track ready. You got a long night ahead of you because we got qualifying set ready to go tomorrow, and you got to get this track prepared each and every night. And you are going to do a fantastic job like you always have done with SSRS and any other track you've done. So, Danny, I also want to thank you so much for helping out with the track, and you have done an amazing job so far from what we have seen from all your blueprints and that. You are definitely a great talent for the Rigs of Rock community. Everyone that has helped out in this, I want to say thank you to everyone who has, made trucks and all that, and made tracks. Without you guys, this would not be possible. So, Danny, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, and we really appreciate it. And good luck this week.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate being on.
All right.
Get out!
No, get out. Get the hell out. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take one last commercial break. We'll be right back after this. We're going to wrap this show up. You are listening to the Fall Madness Preview Podcast presented by SimMonsters.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The left lane is a club, clearly defined by a dashed line and a heavy right foot. If you are unsure if you belong in the club, you do not belong in the club. To apply for membership, try new, stronger STP Complete Fuel System Cleaner with 10 times the cleaning agents to wipe out engine deposits and enjoy the benefits of the left lane.
Hey, ever feel like your workday's never done? Newsflash, if you're driving a pickup, it's not. Because the second you're off the clock, you're dragging the dunk tank to the Fall Fun Fest. F-150 with EcoBoost to the rescue. It delivers the best combination of towing and fuel economy. So you get the power to do all the heavy lifting, and you won't get soaked at the pump. No other truck's hitting that. Step right up. Introducing the new 2013 F-150.
Guys Weekend. The stuff you can actually remember, you'll never forget. But for your car, it'll be like it never happened. Undoing what life does to your car. That's the Armor All way.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fall Madness Preview Podcast presented by SimMonsters.com. Gentlemen, this has been, a very enlightening night. We're getting ready, we're really setting the tone for this event. I think we're doing a great job of that so far. We forgot to do this, and I feel so bad. I just saw this right now. We need to set picks for the MTM2 reunion race as well. Who would you guys like to see in Victory Lane on both racing and freestyle next Friday night?
I believe we should do our racing freestyle dark horses, and I'll start. And with racing, based on experience from Rigs of Rods, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Kyle Carr. Only because every time he shows up, whether it's, MTM2 or just any racing in general, he proves himself worthy to be the top competitor. Now, even when he first started racing Rigs of Rods, he was a top competitor. Came out, destroyed everybody that faced him, and that is why I believe, even with his time off, he's going to be the racing winner. Freestyle, I believe, will go to Josh Rhodes, because taking the way he has freestyle in the past and the way he takes his time off, I believe he's set himself up, he's prepared, he's ready, and he is going to come out like a bat out of hell. Now, my dark horse, it's tough. It's very tough, but I'm going to have to go with Damian Bowers. He has really come on lately racing in Rigs of Rods, and I believe that if he shows up and keeps his mental mistakes away, he will come out either the racing or freestyle winner, or maybe even both.
those are very solid picks there, Roach. Dan, what do you have to say about this?
Well, let's go with, I'm going to go out with the limb here. And racing winner, I'm going with Dave Collar. Just because it's his creation. I just have a thing, idea that he also has that type of mentality and that type of mojo, let's just say, that Kyle Carr has, where he can get back on that motorcycle and ride. And I feel like he could be a winner, but I also feel that the guy that he's probably going to go up against in the finals would be Kyle Carr. Freestyle, I have to give it to Dig. He just has that momentum, and he has just that, when you say you're a fan of the truck that you are with and you like the most, well, the reason why his middle name's Dig, he drives exactly like how Dennis Anderson would drive his Gravedigger. And he will tell you the God honest truth. But I think he could be a freestyle winner. Dark horse, I don't want to toot my own horn calling myself as a dark horse. I just have the experience that I had, not as much as MTM2, but I learned a lot more than I have in ROR. And I have taken out the big guns out of the ROR stable. And I have the confidence that I could take them out. And I'm now back in level. I feel like I'm a level playing field. So I'm giving the dark horse to myself.
Well, Dan, yeah, I got
poor mouth. I'm sorry.
We are so professional here on the Fall Madness Preview Podcast done by SimMonsters.com. So, yes, we are very professional here. I'm going to go out here on a limb and say I'm going to be the first one out in round one. That's a no-brainer because I always lose in round one. So I'm going to pick that one. As a winner, I'm going to have to go with, I believe, it could be a very good pick, but I think Nick Kozak could come out and get a win. I really think Kozak could come out. He hasn't ran that much. But I think Kozak coming out here and actually doing something very surprising in a way. I really see Kozak. He hasn't ran in a little bit, so I really think he can do something. Something special here. Then Dan and Roach, I gotta agree with you guys on this one. I believe Dig is the right pick for freestyle. He's just been around so long, and that, he knows how to do freestyle better than anyone else. So I really think Dig is gonna be the one that really comes, really picks it up and comes together with freestyle. So Dig for freestyle, but my dark horse is gonna actually be Dave Collard. I really think Collard is actually more of a dark horse than an actual pick for the fact that he hasn't really ran that much with us, but yet he's still Dave Collard. And whenever you mention Dave Collard in an event like this, he's going to be the one that really stands out. So Collard's going to be that, but also another name you got to look out for. If he can get everything tuned together with this truck right, Ryan McCauley has always been a dangerous threat, no matter MTM2 ROR. Ryan McCauley is definitely a very dangerous threat, but everyone in that reunion race can really almost sweep the weekend because they are that good. They're some of the best of the best. So you really got a lot of great people in that event. It's just from the best era of Sim Monster Truck Racing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this pretty much wraps it up for 2013 SimMonsters.com presents the Fall Madness 3 podcast. We thank you everyone for coming along. We'd like to thank Josh Dig Rhodes. We'd like to thank Danny Mackey, and also I got to thank Roach and Dan for coming along and doing this with me. We had a lot of fun doing this. It was really fun, to get to interview Dig and Danny. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to leave you with these words. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to play the game. This is the home of no wimps, in your face monster truck racing. This is what it's all about. This is Fall Madness 3 presented by Bass Pro Shops. It all kicks off on Sunday, November 17th with qualifying opening up for the track. Then on Friday, November 22nd, it is Friday Night Motor Madness presented by Quaker State. It'll always kick off with King of the Hill qualifying presented by Tracker Boats. We will take the top 12 qualifiers. They will come out. They will run bracket format. Winner will get the pole, and so on down the line. Then following that will be the Bill Sportsy Superfans MTM2 reunion race. This is a race a lot of people have been looking for, as only the stars of the in this blast from the past of the MTM2 stars will be able to compete in this event. You're going to have men like Dig Rhodes, Chris Kalin, Dave Collard, Kyle Carr, Ryan McCauley, Mark Iron, Damian Bowers, Robert Wojcik, Dan Agosh, Mike Disroach, and Nick Kozak, and a whole lot more coming out for this event. It's going to be a great time. We hope to see everyone there. Then it all caps off with Super Saturday, beginning with the Under Armour Challenge on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Then it's the granddaddy of them all. As Dig said earlier, the Daytona 500 of Sim Truck Racing. Fall Madness 3 presented by Bass Pro Shops. It's going to be big, it's going to be bad, it's going to be great, and we hope to see each and every one of you there. So for all of us here at Fall Madness 3, we'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight. We hope to see you come this weekend, and we hope to see a great turnout from everyone. Remember, qualifying kicks off on Sunday, November 17th. Time to be determined yet. So thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. We will see you all throughout the week. Have a great week, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend. And get ready for the madness, because madness is coming to Essex Junction, Vermont.